And welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It's your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives. And once again, I got the bums in the house. All of this is brought to you by Love You Hard TV. AJ, James, thanks for joining me this afternoon. We got some end-of-the-season Spurs stuff to get to, but also some exciting NBA playoff breakdowns. So I'm really excited about what we got going on today.
Dude, I'm stoked to be here. We have a lot to talk about. We made it through 82 games of another Spurs season, and overall, I feel good. It wasn't exactly what we wanted, but we improved. So I'm excited to dive into that a little bit, but also it's playoff time, and the best time in NBA is playoff time because now we're going to get the best out of everybody, and I cannot wait. James, glad to have you back.
Oh, I'm glad to be back. It's the most wonderful time of year, isn't it, fellas?
It's not bad.
Oh,
WrestleMania's next week.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for Saturday. You got 12 hours of playoff basketball. You got WrestleMania in there. I have to work sometime in there for my family. With Easter being in this Sunday. So I mean, it's just going to be a crazy busy weekend, and I'm always going to have the TV on.
And then we got Fiesta coming up on top of that, and I mean, dude, it's going to be chicken on the stick central. I am so excited about it. Dude, I might have to come down to San Antonio and grab me one of those.
The only way it could be better is if the Spurs were still playing.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean,
soon.
that would be the ultimate silver lining. But at the end of the day, the Spurs are, we were not expecting to be in the postseason, given all of the things that have happened to us. Greg Popovich, not being on the sidelines since November 2nd, Wemby only playing about half of the season, and obviously De'Aaron Fox needing surgery. That completely derailed what we were trying to do this season. But when we look at the 34 wins we did get, are we looking at that as enough of a step in the right direction to where we feel good about it?
I am.
Yeah. I mean, it's 12 plus wins than we had last year. I mean, you show that you add a couple of veterans, you get some people that get a little more comfortable in the role. It pays off, and that's what we saw this year. I mean, my favorite part of the season for all this is when you get to the end and they show you all these random stats of like what NBA players did, and it just warms my heart to see Chris Paul, who I had no idea he played all 82 games. Like, you kind of just forget about it because you just kind of see him on the regular. But I mean, at basically age 40 and playing all 82 games, I think we definitely saw his impact on our team.
3 Spurs were on that list, and Steph Castle played 81 games, just barely missed it. So
yep.
It's been a season of turbulence, but there were some bright spots there. Just a lot of adversity to overcome for a young team.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, that was brilliant. You brought up Chris Paul playing 82 games, starting all 82 games. Same thing with Harrison Barnes. I really love that.
Unks.
Right. Exactly. It was our veterans kind of just showing this young core like, hey, if you really want to be on the court long enough to build that chemistry that you need to win those games late in the season, you got to be there. You got to actually start those games, play big minutes, and be out there long enough to build that consistency. And I think that's something that I want Castle, Sohan, obviously Wemby to take with them moving forward.
100%.
Yeah, and Rob, if you had given me before the season all of those factors that you said a minute ago, Pop being out, Wemby missing half the season, getting De'Aaron Fox, but him only playing a handful of games, all of that, and you tell me that you actually are plus 12 in the win column from the past couple of years, it sucks in a way, but I have to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It shows improvement all around the core that you have that was completely absent. I mean, think about it. You were missing 50 points a game for half the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, my biggest thing is like a guy like Harrison Barnes, like that's just a culture, like continuation of the Spurs culture, continuation of kind of what we stand for. Him building 3 basketball courts in different areas of San Antonio is huge. I absolutely love Harrison Barnes. I don't know what's going to happen with Chris Paul. He could retire. He can move to the bench. He could come back. But, I mean, the big thing for us is that if he comes back, we're not going to start him. I mean, we might, it's possible, but the likelihood is probably not going to happen.
He won't start, but the biggest thing is that if he has played his last game as a Spur, he left it way better than he found it.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most important piece of
100%.
it all. And he's going to have that influence on Steph Castle. I think that was the biggest thing that he did this year, was just
He sure did.
be there. And that's another factor of playing 82 games. He was that example constantly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you brought up how he's impacted Castle and his decision making and how he communicates on defense and stuff like that. And I've seen the same thing with Sohan. I just see smarter basketball players now that Chris Paul has spent some time in San Antonio. And I think, if we want to bring him back for another year in a reserve role, I would not hate it one bit. Nope. But at the same time, I don't think he really owes the league anything. And just listening to his end of the year interview a couple days ago or yesterday, I believe, it was a situation where he was like, yeah, I'm not really telling anyone what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go be with my family. And I think he and his family are going to come to that conclusion where he wants to be, if it's with San Antonio, if it's with maybe more of a contender right away. But at the end of the day, we thank Chris Paul for all of the brilliance that he's giving our young core.
I loved what he said yesterday in the interview after the game about having had so many battles with the fans over the years and going out that way. I just thought that was a perfect cherry on top to this year that's been a bit odd as a fan at times, seeing him in our uniform, but couldn't have been happier.
My favorite thing, we've done this back-to-back years now, and you guys know what I'm going to talk about. We screwed another playoff team up, and Harrison Barnes making that last-second shot against the Warriors and putting them in the play-in is like just a nice little all right, we can still make some wins be meaningful. And I feel like last year against Denver when Wemby was it 17 points in 3 minutes or whatever it was, and then Harrison Barnes hitting the game winner. I mean, those types of games you can look back on and be like, all right, we can compete whenever the game matters. And if they're not going to be on their A game, we can beat any team in this league. So having back-to-back of those types of wins in 2 seasons, I think that's a really good way to kind of get that intensity up towards the end of the season. So if we're in a playoff position, then you kind of have that feel already.
Yeah.
And that had to feel so good for Harrison Barnes just on a personal level.
For sure.
That shot in that place against that team just had to feel just chef's kiss.
Well, dude, he felt a certain way about it because, and I didn't know he was this savage. He posted a slow motion version of that to his TikTok. And he personally uploaded that shit. And I was like, dude.
With the Celine Dion song, and it was hilarious.
Oh, I missed that. See, I don't have TikTok. I completely missed that.
I loved it. That was pure savagery. That was something that I would do just to kind of troll a little bit, but also just flex and be like, you know what? I know that this game didn't really mean anything for the Spurs, but I'm still gonna go out there and bust your ass and hit a big shot right in your grill.
Yeah, dude. Harrison Barnes is like, this generation's of Robert Horry in a way. He doesn't have the championships to back it up, but in big moments and what he's done for this team this year, that's very similar to what Robert Horry would have done with this younger core. Obviously we got him and we had veterans and we were set, and he was just a nice little addition to us. But for what Harrison Barnes brings to the table, he kind of fills that role of just like a veteran that can go out and get you, 12 to 15 points a game and just be consistent. And that's what we need. And that's what we need to show some of these young guys. And it makes me happy that Keldon's happy because he just looks like he's kind of back in his Keldon ways. Now, whether we keep him or not is a different story. It was just nice to see Keldon kind of get that. It's also I love Mamu, man. Mamu's such a great player and such a fun guy to watch. And, whenever we don't have anyone to go to, he's like, fuck it, I'm in. And just takes over the game like he did, was it yesterday? So I like this team. I wish we achieved more. We could achieve more, but it's going to be interesting to see kind of where we end up at the end of the day during the offseason.
Yeah, it could look like a very different team this time next year. But I think the important part is that we have that battery. We have Wemby and De'Aaron Fox, and going forward, it's just about surrounding them with the right guys. And I think to a point we've talked about a lot this year, we've found some guys that fit in around that core. I think we can all, have our opinions about who fits out, but I think the most important part is that we found some pieces to move forward with.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of our guys are going to be getting healthy around the same time. So it's not like we're going to have a bunch of staggering health to where we're going to start out the season, kind of gasping for air, wondering when we're going to be able to gel. Like we were talking about the end of the regular season interviews. Wemby's was really awesome to listen to.
Made me feel good.
Right. He's already, lifting heavy weights. He's playing basketball. He's not playing contact. He's not doing any contact drills, but he's playing a lot of basketball, getting a lot of shots up, working on conditioning, things like that. And the main quote that I took, he said, "I'm hungry and I will be ready."
Yeah.
And he said that very seriously. And it gave me chills, but also a boner a little bit, because I was like, dude, that's the exact mindset I want from Wemby at this time is, hey, we're pushing the chips in. What you going to do about it?
And then you add a guy like Fox who just has that killer instinct, and then you add someone around that. Then you bring back a couple of people that just makes Wemby happy and comfortable. I mean, yeah, dude, that was a great way to end it. I also enjoyed Jeremy Sohan, future Coyote of the San Antonio Spurs. Apparently, he was like, "I really like shooting the gun." I'm like, "All right, that's cool, man." But it was really fun to watch It was fun to watch like the atmosphere after. I don't think I've ever seen a Spurs team. Maybe you just never show it, or I just never stuck around. But to see them like on the court interacting with the fans after the game yesterday was really, really cool to see. And if you're a fan and you stuck around, I mean, that had to have been fun to watch. Like Wemby was signing balls and throwing them out there. Mamu was with the gun too. I mean, it was just really fun to see them like appreciate the fans. And I like that style of the Spurs. And I hope that continues as we move forward with this roster, especially with Wemby, because we didn't get that with Tony and Tim and Mondo. Like we had fan appreciation night, but it was like, thanks.
No, and to further that, I think the place was packed yesterday. Mm-hmm. And typically with our history in San Antonio, it's you got to win to get the fans there. To see that level of appreciation from the community for a team that fell a little short of their goals maybe preseason, it was refreshing to see.
Oh yeah, and fans usually show out to those like early afternoon games. When
right
they
after church,
right, where they can kind of just go and then have the game end around like 5:30 ish, and then they can get out of there, still have a day, and it's like those games are always attractive to me, but at the same time, I am glad that we ended on a positive note. We got a nice win, and
it didn't look good at first.
Right. It didn't look good at all. I thought we were going to get our cheeks clapped by one of the worst performing teams in the NBA. And I was like, oh, no, this is.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time this season.
No.
Nope.
And then Mamu was like, give me ball.
Which he said multiple times this year. So I would love to bring him back. And, it's sad that he already has, given that thank you. And he was already like, thank you for the time in San Antonio. But I really hope that we find space within the within the budget that makes sense for a spot for Mamu. Because he's definitely a fan favorite.
And I mean, you could do worse with that fourth big spot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Rotation.
Yeah.
Not like you're ever going to ask him to be like a solid rotation piece, but he's a guy I think that Wemby likes having around, and I think the fans love him, and that's important. I mean, there's a reason Matt Bonner was a Spur for so long.
Yeah,
right. I mean, he's the type of guys. He's the type of guy that you can roll out there when everyone's injured or resting, and he's going to just go off or do something great. I don't know how many points he had yesterday, but it just reminds me of
18.
18. So he had that 18 point yesterday and then 34 the other night. I mean, like those types of games are like meant for him, where he can kind of take over and show his skills. So hopefully we do keep him just in that aspect. I mean, he doesn't have to be a huge rotation guy, but just to have him whenever we're resting players or people are out, it's good to have that guy.
I'd like to see him in a 3-point contest, just personally.
Yeah, he's wet ball. Like, honestly, him or Harrison Barnes after this season, like Harrison Barnes shooting 43% from beyond the arc, he's made me believe he's one of the best shooters in the NBA. Seeing him shoot from the corner, goddamn.
I mean,
Yeah.
this generation's Sean Elliott.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bruce Bowen's
seriously.
like, don't take my spot.
Going to require a nuclear bomb to get him out of that corner.
But every time he shoots it, I think it's going in. So as long as we have him on the roster, put his ass in the corner more often than not.
So I guess as the season comes to a conclusion, guys, what letter grade do you think we can give this team?
I said it before. I still think it's an I. It's an incomplete. We don't know what this team could have been. We just saw, kind of a smoking crater of the middle of the season, and then they fought to salvage something from it, but we don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I think incomplete does make sense, but if I am, going to give it a grade, I would probably grade it somewhere between like a B minus, where I felt like there was a lot of good things that happened. Obviously, I don't think that we're gonna deal with Pop, Wemby, and Fox all at the same time, and then come out in a advantageous situation. But I do feel as if that we could have done more to improve. Sohan, I don't think that he took a step forward as much as I wanted to. I still think, we haven't done enough to solve our coaching situation, and there was still some head-scratching rotations up until about 2 weeks left in the season. So there's more things that I wish we would have ironed out by now, but at the same time, I can't give us like a C plus, like because I feel like we handled a lot of diversity pretty dang well. So I think B, I would give us maybe a B.
And the reason I really say incomplete is I think the most fair grade is because you had that adversity sprinkled throughout the season. So you had Pop go out in November, you had Wemby go out in February, you had Fox go out in March. So it's tough to get any kind of cohesion around such, not just, nicks and cuts, but like cataclysmic happenings. I mean, Pop literally had a stroke.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was before a game. Like, players were there. They witnessed the commotion. So, like, that impacts you on a mental level, too. So I just think that while we saw a lot of progress generally, it's just there's just too many variables. I feel confident for next season, but as for this season, I don't know how to fully grade all of that.
And I'm glad you brought up Pop for a second, because I do want to address that just like real quick. He had a stroke, guys. He had a stroke, and people are online and talking about the Spurs have their coach. Why are we having this conversation? It's like armchair GMs. What are you talking about? It's like, if you ever met someone or saw someone deal with a stroke, granted, a mini stroke or a regular stroke, it doesn't matter. It's a stroke. He's just not. It's not the same person. And if he's limited in his travel and if he's not able to fully commit, then it is a question. It's an elephant in the room that we'll have to address. You can't just say, "Oh, Pop had a stroke. He'll be back 100%." No one's ever back 100% from a stroke, and I think people kind of lose sight of the fact that they said mini or mild or however they described it. It doesn't matter. And I think my biggest pet peeve is that people think that, yeah, Pop's coming back, which I would love for Pop to come back. The problem is, the reality of the situation is, if he comes back, is he going to be able to be there for all 82 games? And is his health going to stay intact? Or are we going to continue to have issues where it becomes more and more apparent he's just not up to the task? And it's nothing on Pop. It's age is age, and Father Time's undefeated.
Well, and you have to think of going forward the potential stresses of a playoff run or a deep playoff run. And with a stroke in your history, I don't want to play armchair doctor. I didn't stay at a
Right,
Holiday
yeah.
Inn Express last night, but that can't be good. That cannot be good for your overall health and, just kind of, I guess word of the day is cohesion, the cohesion of the team around you. And I think that's the biggest, like you said, AJ, elephant in the room here going into the offseason. And it needs to be resolved fairly quickly when you see all of the coaching names that are out there on the market. So I think, you never want to rush a legend like Pop with a decision like this, but time's kind of ticking.
Right. Whenever Mike Malone's available or Taylor Jenkins is available, you have some guys that have been able to do some exciting things with different teams in the conference. And we shouldn't, overlook those opportunities, especially when our coaching situation is very much up in the air. But I think if anyone was to kind of forego looking for a coach to allow the most tenured coach in all of sports right now, to just give him a little bit more time to see if he wants to come back. I think if anyone has earned that time, it's Coach Pop. So I think that we're going to give him every opportunity to just rest, recuperate, and just figure out if he wants to be a part of the team for another couple seasons. And if he doesn't, then we're gonna look elsewhere. But damn, yeah, it's hard to take on a new identity when Coach Pop is still technically there.
Right. Yeah. But whoever we get, they're definitely going to be harnessing Coach Pop and kind of his mentality. So I think it's going to be a good move regardless.
He's he's at this point going to be omnipresent in the organization, even if he's not there. The specter of Pop is going to be there, one way or another. I'm sure there's going to be a banner right up next to all the retired jerseys that has, Pop's accomplishments. He probably won't want it while he's alive, but something's going to go up there.
I hope it's his picture that he gave Shaq. Well, whenever he hacked to Shaq and was like,
I love that.
I hope that's the picture we use because, whenever I think of Pop, like everyone's like, oh, he's such a hard ass. And that's why I dunked on Dave Portnoy. But for me, he was such more than that. And he only did that whenever he was kind of put in the corner. But you ask anyone else inside the organization, he was like the nicest guy and it's a big sweetheart. And I heard from people in San Antonio that he just tipped insanely well too. So like the fact that he's putting the money back in the community is awesome.
That's why you dunked on Dave Portnoy? Like that's the reason. No, I'm just kidding. And also shout out to Cam. Cam says Pop makes a mean quiche, so for whatever that's worth.
There we go.
If anyone knows quiches, it's Cam.
Yeah, Cam is master of quiches, but also, Beth, friends with Aaron Popovich. So there was that connection. So, maybe he was quiching it up.
It is wild, and just for everyone listening out there, it's wild. One of our friends got a watch from Greg Popovich for his graduation, and it's wild to say out loud. And I don't know if I would be able to fully comprehend that statement. But he was like, it was graduation, right? Something like that, or maybe his 18th birthday or something to that effect.
I think it was graduation.
And it's like, holy shit! And he's like, yeah, Greg Popovich got me this watch. So. Anyway, but overall good season, man. We can't harp on it too long. It's just it is what it is. But we got what was it, 20 teams now in the playoffs that we need to talk about?
Yeah,
seems like an ever growing number.
Yeah, well, when you factor in the play-in, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, let's just dive on into some playoff chat, and we're gonna go through every matchup. And we're going to determine who we feel like is going to come out on top in the finals. So, guys, let's just dive right on in. I can kind of segue us through all of this madness. Let's start in the West in the play-in. We've got Kings versus Mavs. How are we feeling about Kings versus Mavs?
Terrible all around.
This is a complete dumpster fire of a game. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Dallas. They crushed the Mavs about a month or so ago, and I don't see why they don't do the same thing now.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like both of these teams are limping in here. Who
You
wants
just
to
described
be?
the play-in.
Yeah, who wants to be there less? Seems like it's played out throughout the last half of the season with these two teams.
Yeah, I don't see the Mavs really kind of going for it. It kind of reminds me of that episode of South Park when they're trying to lose baseball games, but they make it to the championship. Like I kind of feel like the play-in teams, like this is kind of what they're doing. They're like, we don't want to go, so I hope you guys just beat us. So I feel like the Mavs are just going to roll over. I could be wrong, but the Kings seem to be a little bit more of a killer instinct right now.
They're definitely more determined. I think the Mavs are on 1-2-3 Cancun mode. AJ, the situation or the South Park episode you described reminds me of in college when we were playing intramurals and we knew that everybody got into the playoffs. So we were just like, let's lose all the regular season games. And we just showed up so high for every single regular season game and got our ass kicked. So, yeah, no. That reminds me a little bit of this matchup, honestly, but I just don't see how the Mavs have the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we got the Kings moving forward in that so they're going to play the winner of Golden State Memphis. I don't know. I mean,
This game is going to be
I think it will be. Warriors have won 7 of their last 10. Yeah, Warriors have won 7 of their last 10. They beat Memphis a couple weeks ago, and that was behind Curry's 52 piece. Do you guys think that they do that again?
I think they do. I think Golden State wins this one. Memphis hasn't looked quite the same since Brandon Clark went out.
Yeah, and what's his name went out too? Was it Jalen Wells?
Yeah,
he went out, and they also fired their coach a week ago. So that's another piece of this too. So they might be also on 1-2-3 Cancun. So I do think that the message for the Warriors when they made that trade for Jimmy Butler was, we're making a run, and this is where the run starts. So yeah. I know I wouldn't want to see the Warriors in the playoff right now. They just seem to have that extra gear that kind of reminds me of like the early 2000s Lakers, where they kind of coasted throughout the regular season, and then like playoffs came, and it just flipped a switch.
Their guys are clearly long in the tooth, the main guys, but it's hard to doubt guys like Steph, guys like Jimmy Butler this time of year. And I just think that'll carry the day.
Oh yeah, experience means everything when you get to this stage. It's just about, it's a chess match, take it one game at a time, and the veteran guys know how to do that better than anyone else. So we have Warriors moving on. They're going to take that 7th seed, and we have Memphis challenging the Kings now. Now I know that we have, we've been talking about Memphis being a little depleted. Do we think that they have enough in the tank to beat this Kings team? I kind of think they might.
I think they just are a little bit more talented at this point. Mainly they have Ja Morant and the Kings don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, unless Levine just goes off or something like that. I don't see the Kings really having a shot here. I think Memphis wins, and they take that 8th seed. And that brings us on into the actual. Oh wait, no, we got to talk about the play-in on the other side. I forgot we got more play-in games.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we got to get to the play-in in the East. Unfortunately, holy shit, we talk about some teams that are limping in over here.
We would have made the play-in in the East, by the way.
I feel like they're always the same team. We would have been 3 games out.
We would have just missed it.
But it would have been. It's always the same teams in the East in the play-in.
Oh yeah, it's always these teams that are just in this mediocrity, just this purgatory. So let's
shithole.
Yeah, let's just dive right on.
I only made that run once, but that was about it.
Right. All right, we got Bulls Heat. How are we feeling about Bulls Heat?
I guess give me the Bulls.
Give me the zombie Heat. Yeah, it's zombie Heat season, so just give me the Heat for no other reason other than they just seem to win these games.
I don't know, dude. I was kind of feeling Bulls.
Kobe White has cool
The Bulls
hair.
are hot. The
Dude,
Bulls are definitely
the,
hot.
the Bulls are hot. They've won 7 of their last 10, and they literally just beat this Heat team a few days ago, or I guess, a few days ago by 8. So I think, regardless of how you have this game, it's probably going to be pretty close. I just see the Bulls. I see the Bulls taking it.
Yeah.
Okay, Bulls it is.
All right,
Josh
we got
Giddey.
yeah, we got P Giddy advancing.
The Giddler.
Yeah. All right. And all right, moving on to the 7-8 matchup. We've got the Magic versus the Hawks.
This one's kind of surprising, actually, because the Magic were doing well, and then Paulo got hurt, and they kind of went on a skid. So I do like the Magic, though. I like the Magic a lot more. So I think the Magic pulled this one out.
I think the Magic are just a better team. This is the 9-10, or is this the 7-8?
7-8.
7-8.
This is the 7-8.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like Orlando. Their playoff experience last year, I think, will help.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Orlando is the better team. Franz was banged up earlier, and so was Paulo. And when either of those guys are out, obviously this team is not the same. But they're both healthy heading into the offseason. I don't see why they don't perform pretty well and beat this Hawks team. Okay, so we have
Stupid Hawks making the play-in.
right, fucking assholes. But we have Orlando advancing, and then that gives us a matchup of the Hawks versus the Bulls. How do we feel about this one? Battling for that 8th seed in the East.
Guess give me the Bulls. I don't know.
They're going to get swept
I
by the
don't
Cavs
really know.
regardless. So
Yeah. I haven't watched any of these teams.
I would say the Bulls. I give the Hawks a puncher's chance. If Trae Young decides to go ice tray mode and drops 40 plus in these games, I mean, I can totally see that happening. But if he doesn't, then I don't see them going very far.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
This is lambs to the slaughter, really.
right. This is another one of those games. I think it's going to be super close, but I'm going with Bulls like you guys. I think Bulls are going to be able to play good enough to beat that Hawks squad and barely sneak into that 8th seed. But yeah, I think we all agree it doesn't matter who's getting in there. They're getting their cheeks clapped next round.
They're playing so stupid.
Right. It's just delaying the inevitable.
I think they need to have some sort of mechanism that doesn't trigger a play, and if there's certain gaps between 8 and 9 or something like that, because this is just kind of a useless practice this season.
Also, I like we said, no one wants to watch these games. They're not good games. Like they're not going to. They're probably be exciting because they're trying to get into the playoffs. But looking at these matchups, like Kings, Mavs,
Golden State,
nothing,
Memphis.
That's the only one.
Watch
That's
that.
that's the only one, and that's a 7-8 seed. So they would have made the playoffs in the old format anyway. So
yeah, that's a good point. I couldn't agree more. Let's keep pushing forward though, gentlemen. We got a lot of playoffs to get to. Let's move on to the meat and potatoes. We've got Memphis versus OKC, first round in the West. OKC, yeah, OKC. Comfortable sweep here.
Maybe 5, but that's at most it.
Right. I mean, they won all 4 regular season matchups, and 3 of those 4 wins were by 20 or more points. Yeah, I think that they're going to sufficiently clap cheeks right here.
Also, side note, and this is kind of how I'm gonna be thinking. You don't want to go to OKC during the playoff time. Those fans are nuts. It's loud. It's obnoxious. They're standing most of the time. It's like a college atmosphere in that arena.
Shit else to do.
Exactly. That's why. And also, some of the games are going to be at 2:30 or 11 o'clock, whatever it is. So, I mean, those OKC fans are going to be wild. And I think that's going to give them a huge advantage over some of these teams, and especially in the first round when they're just super amped up. If they make it to the conference finals, it's going to be even louder. So good luck to whoever has to go out there and play a game.
Always has been one of the league's best home court advantages.
Oh yeah, and I feel like they feel like this year is their year more so than any other year. So expect that volume to go up even more. Yeah, guys, those are some great points. Moving on to Nuggets Clippers. These teams were 2-2 in the regular season. They have the same exact record. This could be one of the most exciting first round matchups. Guys, how are we feeling about this? Clippers are 9-1 in their last 10 games, and they're playing great basketball.
I'm leaning Clippers at this point. I just think the vibes are better around them, and that matters right now with the Nuggets firing Mike Malone, making such a bold decision at that time of year.
I think it goes 7, and I'm going to give the nod to the Clippers because they would have home court, and that's the only thing. Now, I think altitude might become a factor if you're the Clippers because you are playing at sea level. Then you have to go up a mile. You know, that might play a little bit of a factor, but more than likely they'll have all the medical attention in order to kind of sidestep that.
Wait, hold on a second. The Nuggets are the 4 seed. The Clippers are the 5 seed.
So the Nuggets.
Oh, my bad. The Nuggets are at home. So
Yeah.
give me the Nuggets then. Take it back.
So I mean, it really.
I think it goes 7.
If we trust Kawhi, I find it kind of hard to pick against the Clippers if he's going to be, playoff Kawhi that he's looked like the past, month.
Yeah, he's looked fantastic over this last month, and I think it all hinges on Kawhi's health and his ability to produce. And I don't like that. I don't like relying on
It
Kawhi.
would make me nervous as a Clippers
Right. So that's why I think this is going to go 7, and I'm going to agree with AJ. I got the Nuggets. I think Jokic is just going to be a little bit too much to deal with, and even though the Clippers are playing really, really hot, I think Jokic is the kind of guy that can will you past a decent team, even though there's some things around you that are failing, and you may not have a coach. I think you have a coach on the court in Jokic that'll be good enough to get through the first round.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray is kind of the X factor. What he gives the Nuggets is going to be a big part of whether or not they advance.
Yeah, and also like this is kind of where in my mind it gets really hard to determine like who's going to move on in a series because I don't know really like 10 games is a small sample size of what a playoff atmosphere is for the Clippers, and they have James Harden, they got Kawhi Leonard. Then I look on the other side of the bracket and I see the Bucks who added Kyle Kuzma, and how's that going to factor in? And is Damian Lillard going to be healthy for their matchups and stuff? So like all these teams that made moves, and we haven't really seen kind of like the full body of work yet. It's making me it's really hard for me to make a like legit decision because I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. No, that makes all the sense in the world. There's so many things that are up in the air. That's why I'm kind of, I'm bringing up the regular season matchups just so we have like a frame of reference. But
Sure.
At the same time, whenever we step into playoff mode, things become a little bit different, and we definitely know that.
That intensity ratchets up.
That Golito gets a little tighter.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, we've got Lakers versus the T-Wolves, the 3rd seed versus the 6th seed. This was another matchup where they were 2-2 on the regular season, but the Lakers won the only game post-Luka trade. So I feel like that is the real Lakers team that they're going to be seeing moving forward. How are y'all feeling about this Lakers T-Wolves series?
I think this is another one that goes 7.
It certainly could. The Lakers look good, but also T-Wolves have won 8 of their last 10, so they're coming in this situation pretty hot too.
Who's gonna play better defense is the determining factor of who's gonna win this series. Can the Lakers play Rudy Gobert off the floor? And if they can, I think the Lakers have a pretty big advantage there.
Mm-hmm. And it's also going to be is like what's playoff Luka going to look like now in a Laker uniform? Is playoff Luka going to continue to bitch and moan?
Amazing, probably.
But he's going to bitch and moan to the referees and slap the floor and throw his panties somewhere. Like I don't know what Luka's going to do in this type of situations. And is LeBron going to step up and be like, "Hey man, shut the fuck up"? Like I need to know what that looks like, and we just haven't seen it yet. But at the same time, like it's Ant is the current reigning 3-point champion of the NBA. So he has more 3-point mades out of everyone in the season. So I like Ant, and it's hard for me to bet against Ant, but think I'm going to go Lakers too.
Yeah, I think Lakers in 7.
Yeah, I had written down Lakers in 6. I think that they're going to have enough to get past that T-Wolves team first round. Yeah. Luka Braun, that's a lot to deal with.
The fighting A-Rods go down.
Yeah, the sooner the T-Wolves go down, the sooner Nas Reeds hits the transfer portal.
Yeah. Yeah, send him to San Antonio. All right, and then moving on to the last first round matchup in the West, we have the Rockets versus the Warriors. Both of these teams 2-2 in the regular season. I think this is a very interesting matchup to me because the Warriors have the playoff experience, obviously, like we were talking about earlier, but I also think the Rockets are playing amazing basketball right now, and the last time these two teams faced, Amen Thompson held Steph Curry to 1 of 10 from the field, 1 of 8 from beyond the arc, and I think that the Rockets are planning on doing more of the same. I'm not sure if the Warriors can get over a team like the Rockets right now. How are you guys feeling about this?
This is kind of my upset. If there's gonna be an upset, this is it. And it's really no slight on the Rockets. I think
yes, it is.
They had a great season. But if I was a Rockets fan, this would scare the shit out of me just because you know how this works in the NBA for building a contender. You have to go through a little bit of pain. And it's not entirely dissimilar to the team that the Warriors played in the first round of the playoffs a couple of years ago in the spot with that young Kings team. And I think over the course of a 7-game series, that experience, you throw Jimmy Butler into the fray now, I think that experience is able to win out. And we see the one lower seeded team, Golden State, take out Houston.
I agree. I think the Warriors just have a little bit more playoff experience. They're probably going to be a little more composed. Also, I just don't trust the Rockets. I don't trust Dylan Brooks. I think he's going to be more of a problem than a solution. But I also think just the firepower that the Warriors have is too much. But I would love to see Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks fight. That'd be fun.
My thing is, and Rob, you brought up a great point of what happened a week or so ago with Amen guarding Steph Curry and really kind of shutting him down. My thought really, though, is that was one game. When Steph makes an adjustment, when the Warriors make an adjustment, how do the Rockets counter? Because they haven't been – Ime has been there, but the team hasn't been there. And so how do they counter when the Warriors make that adjustment and Steph drops 35 on them again?
Yeah, especially with Steve Kerr as a coach. Like, Steve Kerr is the best at making adjustments in playoff series. So,
oh yeah, I mean, we're not doubting the Warriors and their ability to make adjustments and their poise in those kind of situations. I just think that we are going to see a very tough matchup where they have athletes to throw at Steph Curry, even if he's – I mean, I think Amen Thompson is one of the best budding defenders in the league right now. And when I look at what he brings to the table, he's a guy that can chase Steph around a lot. And Golden State really doesn't have an answer for what they're able to do down low either. And
well, it's a very Popovichian approach, to have just throw the volume of bodies at a guy like Steph Curry. Someone will take the bulk of the assignment, but you got Jalen Green, you got Dylan Brooks, you've got any number of guys that you can throw out there that can eat up some minutes on Steph.
Absolutely. I think either way, it's going to be an interesting first-round matchup. But we've got the Warriors upsetting the Rockets on the bracket. Okay, so that fills out the West in the first round. Let's go ahead and move on to the East. And
first round.
Yeah.
We can run through this one probably.
Oh yeah, I mean we'll definitely,
the East, guys.
Yeah, it's the East, but we're still talking about it. It's basketball. Yeah. So we've got Cavs versus the Bulls in the first round. I mean, I don't think it matters who gets in from the play-in. I think the Cavs are gonna sweep no matter who gets in there.
I agree.
You think Cleveland's cool?
I don't think Cleveland's cool.
I just love that quote. Bulls
Oh,
Cavs
yeah.
makes me think of that.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Joakim Noah.
Honestly, we all need a little bit of Joakim Noah nowadays. At the same time, I do think the Bulls. I mean, I don't think the Bulls are going to sneak one, but I just think that they've played them close a couple of times so far this year. So maybe a couple of these games might be interesting, but Cavs probably sweeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 at the most.
Yeah. Next, we're moving on to the 4-5 matchup. We've got Pacers Bucks. This is always an exciting matchup. Going back,
they always play each other.
yeah, they always play each other. Whether it's the in-season tournament, even regular season games have been really chippy, and there's a good energy to these games. So I think this could be one of the more fun first-round matchups in the East.
I wish I could quit you.
Right. But I mean, the Bucks won 3 of the 4 regular season matchups. How are we guys feeling about this?
I kind of lean towards Indiana. I'm not really sure how Dame is playing, honestly.
If he's
he
playing.
has, if he has deep vein thrombosis, I don't see how he plays. And if that's the case, I just think the Pacers have a little too much.
Yeah, I think the Bucks might just ride Giannis and Kyle Kuzma and hope for the best. Kyle Kuzma had like 40 something points the other day, so like maybe they're turning a corner, but at the same time, like as is coming out of my mouth, I cannot trust Doc Rivers and Darren Ham. Like it's really hard for me to trust those guys. So I don't know, maybe fuck Bucks. Well, I'm gonna say Bucks. 1, 2, 3 Bucks.
and let's not forget the Pacers were in the conference finals last year.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Carlisle has won a championship as a coach. So I just think that they're just in a slightly better place right now than the Bucks are.
Did Doc Rivers win a championship more recently than Carlisle, or what year was Carlisle? No, Carlisle was 11.
Yeah,
and
2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're still pulling up receipts from 15 years ago.
Yeah. 2011 and 2008.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if the Celtics are if that 08 Celtics team is gonna keep pulling up receipts, why can't I?
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean they've been coasting on that championship, or Doc Rivers has been coasting on that championship for way too long. But yeah, I mean we brought up a lot of good points. Something that could be in favor of the Bucks, some stuff that could be in favor of the Pacers, but. The more and more I go back, I think it's going to be a close matchup, but I got to give the edge to the Pacers just a little bit. I think, I don't know if we're going to get the best out of Dame, and we've seen the Pacers actually put together a decent string of playoff basketball. So I think that this first round matchup could be Pacers in 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think that's apt.
All right, so we got the Pacers moving on in that matchup. Next, we've got the Knicks versus the Pistons. Pistons won 3 of these 4 regular season matchups.
They're playing well right now, man.
They're
playing
well.
really well.
I kind of like Detroit.
I do too.
Honestly.
And if anyone's going to screw up a first round matchup, it's going to be the Knicks.
I know the Knicks are a good team. Like I know this, but I don't think they're a really good team. And it's not that I think the Pistons are. I just think they're, and Rob, the 3 out of 4 in the regular season alludes to it. I just think there are some matchup problems there for the Knicks. That Cade Cunningham is a big guard, and that's it'll be tough if you have to have OG Anunoby guard Cade Cunningham the entire series.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Cade's the main reason why I have Detroit winning this series in 7. I think that, Cade, over his last 4 games, 3 of them have been 35 plus. His efficiency, his distribution looks a little bit cleaner. And he's really looking like a guy that had took that early criticism and built on it. And I like guys that look mentally tough after kind of getting criticized early on in their career for either not being healthy or not producing enough. And I feel like, he's really built on that, improved a lot this season, and I don't see why they don't sneak in and just barely edge out this Knicks team that, people thought would have been a little better after the money they spent, but at the same time, they're still a decent team. Detroit's going to have to play well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, I think this is going to be a fun series. But
Jalen Duren, though, he's my favorite player to watch. He's so big, he's so athletic, and I would love him to be a Spur. I wanted him to be a Spur, but we went with Jeremy Sohan instead. So I think he's going to have a great series, and don't be surprised if you see a 2020 game from him.
give me some beef stew in the Garden.
Seriously, that there probably would be a fight in the Garden. I could see it happening
For sure.
All right, but hey, as a podcast, we have Detroit over the Knicks. I don't hate it one bit.
Place your bets.
Yeah, seriously, everyone bet FanDuel now.
Promo code bums.
Not responsible for gambling losses.
You're right. Seriously.
Celtics.
Yeah, we got Celtics versus the Magic.
I think the Magic could get a game here.
Yeah, I think realistically it could be Celtics in 5, but I think the next most likelihood is Celtics in 4. So I think I think even Orlando beat them recently by 20 points, but there was no Tatum, no Brown, and no Porzingis. So I don't think that's a clear representation of what they're about to see.
Yeah, they beat the shell.
Right, exactly. They beat Peyton Pritchard pretty much. But at the same time, yeah, I think Celtics in 4 or 5 makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So that rounds out the entire first round, and we are moving on back to the West for the second round matchups. We've got OKC versus Denver. How are we feeling about this?
I think
OKC.
OKC all day.
Yeah,
I think SGA is going to have himself a series against the guards of Denver.
Yeah, I just think there's too much firepower there.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to see this just because battle of the MVPs right here. A lot of people want to see the top 2 guys duel it out, and I think it would be cool. They were 2-2 in the regular season, but yeah, I think OKC is clapping cheeks. Probably OKC in 5,
maybe 6, but that's
I'll say
about
6.
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Jokic wins 2 by himself.
Yeah, he certainly could. I mean, there's no evidence against that. All right, moving on to the next matchup in the West. We've got Lakers versus Rockets. This was another 2-2 on the regular season.
Did we pick the Rockets or the Warriors?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Warriors. I misspoke. I'm looking at all the teams over here, and some of these logos are
Battle of California.
Yeah, we got the Battle of Cali over here. We got LA, Golden State. How are we feeling about this?
Lakers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lakers as well.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a fun series, but I think Lakers
it
are
might go
probably
7.
6.
It might go 7.
Yeah, I think Luka and
this
LeBron are too much.
This is kind of going back to I need to see these teams play some games, and I need to see them at full strength, trying their absolute hardest. Because Luka, LeBron, we've seen it looks good, but we've seen Jimmy Butler in the Warriors, that looks good. So it's just a matter of who gelled faster and who can get more out of their players in this round.
Yeah, I think Luka Braun makes a lot of sense. Probably Lakers in 6 or 7. It's going to be close though. I think it'll be a battle of who's going to be kind of an example of that playoff experience we've been talking about.
Probably the last time we'll see Steph and LeBron on a playoff floor against each other.
Yeah, let's hope for that matchup. All right, so moving back to the East for second round matchups, we've got the Cavs versus the Pacers.
Cavs.
Yeah,
6.
I think Cavs, probably Cavs in 5. They had their number during the regular season. I don't see why that doesn't continue again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think they're a better team.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've got Cavs in 5 or Cavs in 4, or however they're clapping cheeks. We got the Cavs advancing. All right, and next we've got Detroit versus Boston.
Boston in a series that might be longer than people might expect, but still Boston.
This might ignite a new rivalry between the two teams. This might be the series that like kind of catapults Detroit to being like a top 3 seed next year. So
Maybe.
It's very possible. So we'll see what happens if they play well and they get it to 6. Then I think that's a good win for the Pistons. And don't be surprised to see them make some moves. I know the rumor right now is Devin Booker might be heading out there, but we'll see. That's a trade rumor at the moment. So if they are able to add another couple pieces, that is definitely something that they can compete with. So, but not now. Not
yet.
Yeah, I think this will be a really interesting matchup. There was Boston won 3 of the 4 regular season games against Detroit, but at the same time, all of those matchups were in 2024. They haven't seen this Detroit team recently,
That's
and
wild.
I think that could be a situation where, hey, maybe they get surprised a game or two early, and this series looks a little bit different. But I think we can all agree Celtics in 5 or something like that. Yeah. All right. So we got the Celtics advancing, and we have our Western Conference, Eastern Conference matchups. So right now we're looking at OKC versus the Lakers for the Western Conference Finals. That's gonna be tough for anyone to overcome what OKC is doing.
Yeah, I just think the Lakers don't have enough defense.
Yeah,
I think this is where that gets them.
I am going to lean Lakers because I do believe it's going to be 8-on-5 on the court, and I think that they're going to get a lot of calls. I think this is going to be one of those we look back on, and wouldn't you be surprised if some guys had some money on this, because I think the free throw discrepancy is going to be insane. I know SGA gets to the line and stuff, but it just seems that the Lakers are going to get even more calls because Luka's going to complain, LeBron's going to complain, and the NBA, dude, the NBA wants to see the Lakers a Lakers Boston matchup, and we both have them in the conference finals. I think the Lakers are going to get the nod, and Adam Silver is going to have his hand in the pot about it. Tinfoil hat on.
I don't think Adam Silver is as heavy-handed in that kind of thing as his predecessor was. So
R.I.P.
I think Oklahoma City is just too complete of a team.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards OKC, and I really don't think it's going to be that close of a series. I think it's going to be OKC in 5. I think how they have their roster constructed, and I think how they're going to have Isaiah Hartenstein back as well. He's been a little bit banged up towards the end of the season, and I think he's going to create some matchup errors. But even when he wasn't in the game, they had Jalen Williams, like not even J-Dub. They had the other Jalen Williams playing, dropping triple doubles, like filling in and completely filling in the rebounding void that Hartenstein left. And I feel like this team is just so deep. They have guys that just come in, know their role, and supplement what those main core guys are doing. So I think, unless an injury happens or something unforeseen happens, OKC takes this.
Yeah, but Bronny James, dude.
He started his first game.
Oh yeah, because everyone else was there too.
Okay.
I think LeBron was like, "Hey man, text me when you're done."
So OKC to the finals.
Yeah, we got OKC moving on to the finals, and then we've got the much anticipated Boston-Cleveland Eastern Conference matchup.
Get your popcorn ready for this one.
Put the kids to bed.
Right, seriously, like this is what everyone wants to see. A lot of these matchups were really, really good throughout the season. They were 2-2, so they split, and every single one of those games was decided by 7 points or less. So these are games that have been close, they've been good, and have usually come down to the final couple of possessions.
I like Boston in a 7-game classic of a series. I think this is going to be just the highest level of basketball that we've seen in a long time between these two teams. I'm really excited to potentially see this, but I just think Boston's a little bit better.
I agree. I think Boston just shoots the three ball a little better and more volume. And I think that's probably going to be the deciding factor, is that I don't know if the Cavs can really compete that long with a 3-point shooting team like Boston.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I think that the Cavs would need something to happen. Like, they would need Porzingis to go down so they could dominate more in the front court, and I could see
Not unlikely.
Right. So
Yeah, I mean,
so there's something that could happen to where they are slightly more advantageous. But when we look at Garland and Mitchell, the team that can throw defensive options at their two key guards, that's Boston. And so, yeah, I think matchup wise, it favors Boston, probably Boston in 6 or 7. But I agree with you, James. This is going to be a really fun, maybe all time kind of matchup.
yeah. The margin for error is so much smaller this year for Boston than it was last year.
Agreed.
So I think that's gonna be just really fun to watch, because Cleveland is the real deal.
And are we going to get the same Jaylen Brown like we did last year? I think that's a good question. Like, we've seen him kind of have these rough moments in the playoffs. Are we going to get the same guy that we saw last year? Because that really catapulted them to the championship.
Yeah. Finals MVP.
Yeah, that speaks volumes. All right, and we are moving on to the NBA Finals. We have OKC versus Boston. These two teams faced each other twice in the regular season. OKC won by an average of 10 points. How do we feel that this is going to shake out, guys?
I think Oklahoma City's just the better, more well-constructed team.
I agree, but I got Boston.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Boston. I think we touched on it on a previous episode. It's really hard to get to the finals your first time as a team and understand what it takes to win that. I think that it's almost like you need to go to a certain level and fail and then retool and get back to that level. And I think what we're going to see from OKC is a team that's good enough to win the Western Conference Finals, but maybe stumble a little bit when they try to cross that finish line. And I think a team like Boston, who just recently did, they've been to the finals before, lost, came back, they won. I think that they're built right now, if they stay healthy, to win back to back.
Yeah, NBA history is littered with teams that, had to experience pain to get to the top. That's pretty much the story arc of every champion in the NBA. So I hear what you're saying. I just think Oklahoma City is just a little bit better than Boston, and I think some of those advantages that they were able to get through a Cleveland team with aren't there against Oklahoma City. And I know Donovan Mitchell is great, but he is not as dynamic as SGA is, and I just think that will prevail there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but also OKC is going to have to deal with championship Derek White, championship Pritchard, championship Porzingis. Like, those guys were like so good last year. And I mean, Derek White kind of was the saving grace for a lot of games. So that's, having a guy like that on your team that just is an anchor, it's hard to overcome that. But I got Boston. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, Boston.
Yeah, I think either way we can agree that this is going to be a really fun finals, if this is the finals that we end up getting, because it's two teams that have a really strong justification on why they could win. It's either talent mixed with experience, or a little combination of both. It's just
coaching.
Yes,
and coaching.
And coaching. Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason why either of these teams would surprise anyone if they were NBA champions. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun time when we get to the Western Eastern Conference Finals, because I think there's a lot of teams in the NBA that aren't worth talking about, but when we get down to the meat and potatoes, the top of the league is so damn good that I think this is going to be a really exciting playoffs this year.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for these next 2 months to unfold.
It's gonna be fun.
Don't know if I'll be able to stay awake for all those West Coast games, but I'll be,
Right.
I'll be trying.
Lakers Warriors. Oh man, that's gonna be a late one.
Absolutely. Just a couple of quick little crazy Oklahoma City stats real quick. Just doing a deep dive. They're the fourth best team record in NBA history, 16 games ahead of second place Houston. That is the most in NBA history. Even when we look at even when we look at the 73 win Warriors, they had a 15 game lead over us.
Yeah.
And when we look at the 72 Bulls, they only had a 12 win lead over Orlando. And so this is an absolutely crazy year and dominating year from OKC. So I think we may never see a team get out in front of everyone in a conference like this again.
Yeah. And shout out to them for just the roster construction. Sam Presti is the wizard. So
absolutely. Yeah, so we have Boston winning it. That's the playoffs. You heard it from the bums here. Go ahead and lock your bets in.
DraftKings.com.
Right. But yeah, so I don't know. It feels like we got some dunks to get to, guys.
Absolutely.
Are we feeling dunky? Oh, absolutely, AJ. AJ, you want to start off?
Us off?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Hang on 1 second. I gotta make sure I got my dunk correct. So
I was like, is there visual accompaniment?
I am going to dunk on the Toronto Blue Jays organization. And here's why. They have, so in baseball, it's a really fun thing to see like what stadiums have cool food options and stuff. So like the Yankees have a tiramisu in a helmet. I think like somebody else has crepes, like and all this other stuff, or s'more. They call them s'more quesadillas, but they look like crepes. Anyway, the Blue Jays have cotton candy fries, and it looks like the most disgusting piece of food I've ever seen in my entire life. It's literally fries with cotton candy on top, and then like I guess a blue syrup or a blue ketchup. It looks disgusting, is what it is. So Blue Jays, that's gross, man. Don't do it. You just got dunked on.
I got super high at a Blue Jays game a couple of years ago on my honeymoon, and I didn't get it at the stadium, but I got it on our way home from the stadium. There's Mary Brown's chickens. It's Nova Scotia fried chicken. Yeah, man, I got food poisoning so hard that next morning. Oh, it was tough. So yeah, I hear that dunk.
Absolutely. You just sent us that picture, AJ. That looked pretty disgusting.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah. James, who are you dunking on?
I am dunking on former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Iamaleava.
You got it.
I don't know if y'all have heard this story, but basically, pretty mid quarterback. He had a 63% completion rate last year for 2,600 yards and 19 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. The 35th rated quarterback in terms of QBR in the country. Tennessee made the playoff, but it was on the strength of the deepest D-line I think I've ever seen. He entered the transfer portal this week, hours before their spring game, after pretty much trying to extort the program for more money. He wanted $4 million.
JT Toppin money.
For his middle of the road services. 14 for 31 in the Ohio State playoff loss. So yeah, just and apparently the kid's dad is driving the boat here, and it's just all of it is dunk worthy. To see where we're at in college sports. It's really weird, this transfer portal in college basketball.
Sure is.
To see all these announcements of players returning to the school that they were just at and making like a scene out of it. But I haven't seen anything like this. To leave a playoff team, a team coming off a playoff run hours before the spring game, going through the entirety of spring practice, and to just pull this public bullshit like this is the kind of stuff that gets things changed. This is the kind of stuff that brings action where there isn't any. And so I just think that that's dunk worthy in and of itself. And to tank whatever draft stock you have, I mean, I hope it was worth it.
But shout out to the Tennessee coach who was like, no one's above the program. And we need more coaches like that to step up and say, I don't care how good this kid is or what he's worth. No one's above the program. And that's what I think a lot of times people forget about. It's about the jersey on the front, not the one on the back, or the name on the front, not the back. Excuse me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that whole situation is a shit show. And I don't like to dunk on college athletes. I don't like to dunk on kids too much. But whoever it is, if it's him or his dad, whoever's driving the boat, you got dunked on.
Yeah, you're getting yammed on.
Rob, who you got this week? I'm excited about this one.
I'm dunking on Nintendo.
Ooh.
I'm dunking on the Switch 2. I like the Switch. I have an OLED Switch. I have the nicest Switch you can have right now, and I really enjoy it. And there's a lot of really fun new games that they've been talking about over the last 6, 8, 10 months. And then all of a sudden you find out they're not going to be available for the Switch, only the Switch 2. So if I want to play the new Pokemon game, I have to spend $600 on the new Switch just so I can spend $70 on the new game. And it is absolutely bonkers the amount of cash grabs that are in this industry right now. It is so mind-boggling and so frustrating that to play some of these upcoming titles, you need to dish out several $100s. And so it's really made me just to kind of want to steer clear from everything Nintendo. It just really makes it seem like there's other platforms. Like if you game on Steam and you use PC gaming, I highly recommend that over anything Nintendo's doing, just because it seems senseless. Like even if you have a digital game for your Switch 1, you need to spend $30 to be able to unlock that for your Switch 2.
That's ridiculous.
You're paying for what you already own, which is fucking wild. And Nintendo, you should be ashamed of yourself for that.
Tariffs aren't going to help that price either. Yeah, the tariffs aren't going to help that price either.
No, but it's like digital games are $60, physical games $80. That's
ridiculous?
In big 2025.
Yeah, what are we doing here? Nothing digital should be that expensive because there's no shipping cost, there's no handling cost, nothing needs to store in a warehouse. It gets downloaded to you immediately. Why is it that expensive?
Also, you shouldn't be locked out of those digital downloads too. I'm talking to you
from Nintendo.
Talking to you, FIFA, you locked me out of a really good game, and I'm pissed about it. So, the last FIFA that came out, I digital download, can't play it anymore because they ended it, and it's all this EAFC or whatever it is. I'm not going to go out and, to your point, Rob, spend another $80 or so to go buy that game. So, yeah, this is ridiculous. Play PUBG, it's free. So
yeah. Well, and that's why I always recommend anyone that wants to game, do it through Steam, do it through your PC, because Steam, they actually have deals. They actually have, this game's been out for 6 months, you can get it for half off now. And there's really no other place that does it quite like that. So, like, if you're going to game anywhere, game on Steam. Absolutely. But that's my dunk. Nintendo, go fuck yourself. But guys,
Super Mario knows.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, more like Mario Shart. But guys, if you are still listening to the podcast and you heard all of those awesome dunks, we appreciate you. We love you. This podcast would not be the same without.
Love you hard.
Yes, we don't just love you. We love you hard. The podcast would not be the same without all of your comments, your likes, your shares, your support. It really means the world to us. We love to sit here and talk Spurs, talk NBA basketball, but it wouldn't be the same if you weren't here. So we really, really appreciate you. And guys, that feels like a really great episode, and I think we should end this episode the same way we end all the episodes, and that's with a go Spurs, a go.
WrestleMania podcast coming soon.